Ever since Arthur started working along the fishing village, the company was more profitable than it had ever been. All day Arthur worked hard taking trucks to where they were needed. It had been a year since he had joined, and the fishing company had decided to hold the parade. The fishing company wants you to be at the head of the parade. You'll travel across the island, and I'm sure it will make everyone forget about your recent mishap, the Fat Controller announced. Arthur felt very proud. Oh, thank you, sir, he said. It wasn't long until the news spread. I can't wait to see it, called Percy. Arthur certainly deserves the reward, Edward replied. And why's that? Gordon fumed. He's not an important engine. Why should anyone want to look at him? Thomas had had enough. Because Arthur doesn't listen to other engines' conversations, Thomas snapped. This is just the break Arthur needs after your gossiping. Pah, Gordon retorted. He was still cross the next day. I don't gossip, he retorted. I just showed Arthur as the pretender he is. And to think, he continued, that I have to take the supplies for this ridiculous parade. Why didn't the Fat Controller ask Thomas to take them? He's the one who seems to think Arthur's so important. He was so cross that he wasn't paying attention. Ahead, the rails remained slimy from where George's fish had landed the day before. Gordon approached the siding much too fast. He slid on the rails and pushed his trucks into the sea. Gordon watched as the trucks fell helplessly into the depths below. Later that evening, the trucks had been rescued, but the supplies were ruined. Gordon was about to retort when he saw Arthur sat nearby, unable to say anything. Gordon felt ashamed. He could see how upset Arthur was, and he knew that it was all his fault. I'm sorry I ruined your parade, he said feebly. Arthur sadly looked over. There's no need to be sorry, he replied. I'm not an important engine. I deserve to be in disgrace. This made Gordon feel even worse. He'd managed to convince himself that Arthur was a pompous engine. Now he realised that Arthur just wanted to be useful, like everyone else. I'll try to help. Somehow, he said as he shamefully took the trucks away and went to the sheds. The next day, Arthur hadn't moved. There were no fish to deliver, and he couldn't see how Gordon could help. It had all been ruined. Just then, the fishermen walked happily up. Arthur thought they didn't know the news, but they had a surprise for him instead. What are you moping around here for? One laughed. You've got a train to pull. Arthur was confused. But there are no deliveries today, he said. But the fisherman just laughed. Come on, there's no time for dawdling. As Arthur rounded the bend, he was surprised. Ahead sat the parade train, undamaged and ready to go. But how? Asked Arthur in bewilderment. The supplies are ruined. We'll find out later, the driver laughed. What now? We've got a parade today. For the first time in a long while, Arthur was chuffing happily down the track. Everywhere Everywhere he went, crowds cheered and engines whistled. He felt that he could burst with joy. "This," he exclaimed, "is the best day I've ever had." Before he knew it, he was approaching Knapford Station. All of his friends were there whistling him on. Arthur smiled, but barely noticed them. In a siding, he saw Gordon sat next to the Fat Controller, feeling miserable. Arthur wanted to ask what was happening, but didn't want to stop the celebrations. Finally, the parade came to a stop, and the workmen began to dismantle the float. Arthur was having a nice long drink when Gordon puffed up. "Ah, there you are," he said happily. "How was the parade? It looked wonderful." "Oh, it was," exclaimed Arthur. "I had a great time." "But it looked like you didn't. What was wrong?" "Ah, that. I was told off for not taking my trains," started Gordon. Arthur was once again confused. "But why didn't you take them?" Gordon smiled. "Because I was too busy looking for supplies for your train," he answered. Arthur didn't know what to say. "So, you saved the parade?" "Oh, thank you, Gordon. You have no idea how grateful I am." But Gordon stopped him. "There's no need to thank me," he said. "Especially not after how horrible I've been to you. Spreading gossip, making fun of you. I thought you were the one being pompous, but I should have been looking at myself." "Would you like to be friends?" replied Arthur. "I'd like nothing more," Gordon beamed. When Arthur got back home, he sat in his shed thinking about the day he had had. Maybe I am a useful engine, after all. Mamby Pamby, no, that's Victor.